We're Miriam and Tanguy, and this is MyT Van. In 2019, we bought a van. We spent a year self-converting it, with no previous building experience whatsoever. We turned it into a beautiful, cozy home. In this build series, we'll show you how we did it. From woodworking to electrical, we'll show it all. Hoping we can help you, or inspire you, build a home on wheels and live new adventures on the road. Well, what do we have here? Soul City, you know what this means. This is our second battery. So we ordered our second lithium battery because we wanted two eventually, but also because our first one completely discharged for some reason. We're still not sure why. This happened maybe a couple of days, 3 or 4 days after we hooked up the two remaining solar panels. So we have now 400 watts of solar. It worked perfectly fine, like they were charging the battery perfectly. But then for some reason the battery started draining. Something drained the battery, so we're not sure why. And now it's not working and the solar panels are not charging it. And the charge controller is giving an error code, so I guess that's why it's not charging anymore. So we ordered the new one a little bit earlier than we thought. And so what I'm doing is I'm gonna replace the current battery with the new one, see how all that goes. If the charge controller now wants to charge it and get power from the solar panels. And I'll wait a few days. I won't hook up the inverter. I got rid of the isolator that I had that never worked because maybe that was the issue. I don't know. But I replaced it with a DC to DC battery charger from Renogy, 40 amps. I don't think I'm gonna hook it up yet. I'll give it a try maybe today. I have the whole day today, so hopefully I'll get some sun to see if the solar panels are charging. While I was removing the old battery, well, not the old, the current battery, I noticed that the negative cable that goes from the battery to the bus bar, to the negative bus bar, the lug was sort of loose. So I removed the tape and I see too much copper. So I can remember if I maybe removed too much cover and had that much copper visible before, or if the lug is getting loose and getting off. So anyway, it's too loose. I'm not confident in this connection. So I'm gonna go to Home Depot and buy a new lug and cramp it again. First trip to Home Depot of the day. Let's go. All right, so we have the new battery hooked up just now, and ta-da! The charge controller is on and it is working fine. So right now the solar panels are not hooked up. First I wanted to check the battery status, so it's 100%. So the charge controller is working fine, the battery is full, everything looks great. Nothing going to the load, that's fine. But if I do this, yeah, I just heard the fan turn on. You can see I just turned on the load connection, so that means everything DC hooked up here is now wired and working. Just gonna turn that off for now. So nothing going to the battery from the solar panels. 12 degrees, yeah, it's sort of cold. E0, that means there's no error. You can see this is not blinking. This used to be blinking like crazy with the old battery right here. So right now I haven't hooked up this one in series in parallel with the other. I just want to make sure the system works fine with just that one battery. So I'm gonna hook up the solar panels right there and hopefully we'll get some solar current, solar power. Okay, so solar panels are hooked up, but I don't know if it's maybe too early, but it's not giving any power. I just checked on the roof. That's true. The solar panels aren't completely exposed to the sun right now. I'll unplug them, hook up the second battery in parallel, rewire everything, see if that still works, wait for the sun to come up and hope for the best. All right, let's go. that's it. We have 2 lithium batteries wired in parallel and hooked up to the charge controller. That's 100, that's 200. That should be a lot of power for our needs right now. There's still room for a third one eventually if we ever need to. 88%. So I have room for charge. So now I hope that the solar panels will work and charge both batteries. So parallel is basically you connect the positive and the negatives together. Well, you connect the positive of one battery to the positive of the second battery, and the negative of the first battery to the negative of the second battery. And then you take one positive of the battery, hook it up to the rest of your system, and the negative of your second battery, and you hook it up to the rest of your system. So we'll call them battery 1 over there and battery 2. The negative of battery 1 is going to the system. Then the negative of battery 1 is hooked up to the negative of battery 2. And then the positive of battery 2 is hooked up to the system. And the positive of battery 2 is also hooked up to battery 1. That way, it sort of ensures that the current and your charge goes through both batteries, and so that charges them evenly, and that draws the current from them evenly. I'm not an electrician, but that's what I've been told. So there you go. I'll hook up the solar panels and hopefully we'll see charge. All right, we're all good. I just went on the roof to check on the solar panels and I realized something. So the 4 panels are connected in parallel as well. So just like the batteries earlier, all the positive are connected together and all the negatives are connected together. Then these, the positive and the negative that come out of this are coming here positive and here negative. But Renogy recommends to fuse the positive connection from the panels to the charge controller, which I did with the inline fuse that they provided with the kit that I bought. But the kit that I bought was originally 300 watts, and for some reason the fuse that was inside was 10 amps. So apparently the fuse blew because I removed the fuse and now everything's working. See, we have 10 amps from the solar panels. See, it's charging correctly. See the small dots here. So, long story short, I removed the fuse. I bought another one that's 40 amps. So the charge controller is 40 amps. That means it can get the charge from maximum 4 solar panels, which I have. So I need a 40 amp fuse, which I ordered, which I'll receive today. Thank you, Amazon. And I'll hook it up right here in between the positive line here and the positive of the charge controller. All right, mystery solved. We are safe. Everything's working so far. I even ordered a second fuse for a second 40 amp fuse for the DC to DC charger over there because it's not fused and it should be. So there we are, fully charged, all good to go.
Where are we?
Inside.
Why?
Because it's freezing outside and we have van friends that offered us to stay in their storage units to work and be warm at the same time. So here we are.
I don't know if you can see Virginia over there. The little red dots moving.
All right, so after the consultation with Ray from Ray Outfitted, he gave us tips on how to improve our electrical system. The main one was our wire that goes between the batteries and to the bus bars. There are 4 gauge wires, and this is too small compared to the current that's going through them. There's going to be too much current going through those wires, and they can heat and they can catch fire. So I'm gonna change those to a much thicker wire this one. So it's a 10 AWG, well, 10 gauge. I think that's how we say it. And so I'm gonna take the opportunity of removing the cables to reorganize the batteries, because he also told us the lithium batteries can go any position you want, on the side, on their top, whatever. So that's what I'm gonna do to gain maybe a little extra storage in our garage area. So I am done with almost everything that Rainer told us to do on our electrical system, which is change the battery cables to much thicker ones. So that's all good. So you can see everything goes to the bus bars. And what I've done as well is add a fuse between our inverter and the batteries. This is, well, the purpose of the fuses are safety. So if you have too much current going through your system, it'll blow up the fuse and prevent any damage. The inverter already has an internal fuse, which technically is enough. But one thing Rainer told us is if you blow the fuse in your inverter, it's a real pain to change it, because you have to open up your inverter, you have to unscrew everything, figure out where it is, and then change it and put it all back together. But if you blow this fuse, you just have to open the box, change the fuse, and you're done. So it's from a more practical standpoint that we added this fuse. And we also have this one, which is a 50 amp fuse that goes all the way to the DC to DC charger. Yeah, so this is the output of the charger, and Miriam will show you the input, which also has a fuse. There you go. So it's all connected. Hopefully I've rewired everything properly, and we'll figure that out right now, because all I have to do is connect the negative of the entire system, and we'll have power again. Take this guy here, and voila. Put it all back together. Which I think is this one. Yes, it's this one. There we go. Can you press the right arrow on the
left?
The right.
Right.
There we go. And so now we have lights.
Yay!
Lights are back up. Yeah, because every time we disconnect the charge controller to the batteries, the charge controller turns off, and by default it's disabling the loads as well. So that's why the DC loads, which are the lights, the fans and all of that, is disabled by default. So what Miriam just did is reactivate it, and now we have lights. This is the last thing that I'll have to do, is to switch the load from the charge controller directly to the batteries. This is a recommendation from Rainer as well, because plugging the DC to the charge controller can work if you don't have that many loads, like for example a light or two, but we'll have the fridge, we have the fan, we have all of our lights, potentially the heater that's going to be hooked up there. Yeah, so it's best to hook it up directly to the batteries, so the bus bars in our case. I think that's it. We can just check if the inverter is still working. Yeah, everything works. So now our system is safe, and it is working, which is always good too, which is always good. So yeah, just a couple more tweaks, but we'll have a, I'd say, pretty good electrical system after that. Since we started planning our van build, the electrical system was always a gray area. I had a very basic knowledge of electrical circuits, but I didn't know how this could translate into an off-grid vehicle. So I looked up online and learned a lot on the internet, reading articles and watching videos. But eventually we decided to seek professional advice with Ray Outfitted to make sure our system was safe, efficient, and would meet our needs on the road. Making this video today feels good, because I felt confident in what we did. In the next video, it's time to tackle the shower, finally. We'll be installing our final wall panels, and we'll show you what material we chose for waterproofing. Thanks for watching. As usual, give this video a like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.